Hello there everyone, this is me Ethan here, and I'm just going to get straight to it. Denis Villeneuve's Dune is my favorite movie of the year. Dune is an adaptation of Frank Herbert's original science fiction novel released in the 60s. It was the novel that inspired the Lord of the Rings and Star Wars. So clearly it needed a treatment for the big screen. My experience with this movie is quite unique. I saw the trailers many times in theaters throughout this year and I thought it looked really great, but it was not a movie I was just dying to see. It was until last week that I realized this film's release, and I was on my brief fall break. So naturally, I thought I might as well see it since the trailers looked so good to me. And I was shocked at my enjoyment leaving the theater. I had my expectations kinda all over the place. This was my first experience with the Dune story and I knew nothing about it except the trailers going in. I'd also seen people calling this the next Star Wars and the Lord of the Rings, and they do not compare. Dune is not a hyper, fast-paced action adventure that goes from planet to planet. This story is a very slow burn with politics and a lot of talking. For some it may be boring, but to me it was a nice change of pace. There are numerous action scenes, but it is clearly not the main focus. And the action scenes are all fantastic, mainly because of its impeccable cinematography. I'm so happy I saw this in theaters, but sadly I didn't see it in IMAX. Definitely one of my biggest regrets. The way everything looks fully immerses you in this world, which also ties into the world building. Everything feels huge. The set pieces are massive and there's hardly any green screen used here. Even whenever CGI is used, it still looks fantastic, especially the sandworm. I was stunned whenever it showed up. The sound production is one of the many reasons you should see it in theaters. It is one of the loudest movies I've ever watched, but it adds to the immersion and sounds like the voice are incredible to hear. Hans Zimmer's score also makes a huge contribution. You really can't go wrong with this guy. With each score he composes, each one feels incredibly unique, especially here in Dune. The cast is stacked here, full of stars that even casual film enthusiasts will recognize. There's not a single actor here that feels miscast, and they all contribute to the story's tone. The story here is fantastic as well. Like I said, it's slow, but it is thoughtful and very well written. Having seen Dune in theaters, the next day I decided to watch it at home on HBO Max, mainly to have the subtitles on to understand everything, and after 2 viewings I had to pick up the book. I'm currently only 30 pages in so far, so I can't say how accurate the adaptation is, but from what I've heard, it's pretty dang good. Same goes with what little I've read so far. It has been very enjoyable, and if you enjoy the movie story, I would recommend the book. Normally the book is better than the movie, and that'll probably be the case as I progress. So overall, the cinematography, the acting, the world building, the score, the set and costume designs are all amazing. I adore the aesthetic this film gives off. I can easily and happily say that I love this movie. I just wish there was more. And that's my main issue with Dune. It is a very well-made adaptation to a very well-made story, but it's only half of the story. In the opening title, it's made very clear that this is Dune Part 1. I really hope Dune does well so we can get the second half of the story. If we don't get a second part, it would be a tragedy. It already has a very long runtime at 2.5 hours, and yet we didn't get enough of the villains and not everything was fully developed. I understand why it's separated into 2 parts. The novel is very long, and to do the story justice, there needs to be 2 movies. But it's just hard to fully appreciate half of a story. Overall, Dune is an outstanding feat from the world of science fiction films. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and it makes me want to learn more about the worlds and everything it has to offer. But sadly, the first installment is just the first installment in what's supposed to be an incredible story with outstanding lore and characters. Overall, I would rate Denis Villeneuve's Dune a 9.5 out of 10. It is a perfect first half of a story that immerses you with its impeccable use of visuals, world building, and sound design.